Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, and in this video the most wanted topic of many of you is being covered, and that is the practical based questions from class 10 CBSE syllabus. But then let me tell you something. This practical based questions of class 10 CBSE science could come from physics, bio and chemistry, all three of them together. But in these videos, I'm only going to talk about chemistry, not about bio and physics. And the weightage of practical based questions from chemistry on average is 4 marks. You will have two 2 marks questions which will be equal to 4 marks. And they are usually mentioned at the end of the question paper after 5 markers. So what is the actual plan of these videos is there are so many practical based questions, all around 50 and above, only for chemistry. But in spite of covering the questions first, what I have thought is we'll be talking about the concepts behind it. Because once you are clear with the concept, you will be able to answer any question. But don't worry, you just have very less time left for your exams, and this concept is not going to take more than 2 hours to learn it completely. So nothing to worry about the time required to learn this concept, right? So now take a look at this, of which the first part that we are going to cover is about the observations. In the practical based questions, the observation based reactions are quite common. What does it mean by observation based reactions? The questions in which they often ask you to state the observations, to list or mention the observations. You must have noticed these questions frequently if you have solved the previous year questions. By the way, before you could go to your exam, you should have solved at least 10 years past papers, right? That's what gives you a better idea about what types of questions come in your exam. So the first thing that we are going to focus on is the observations of the chemical reactions. What are the observations and how actually should these observations be written? So this will be covered in this video. Of course, a few of these observations also will be covered in the second video. So we'll be having 2 videos for these observation based reactions. And the second type of practical based question, the second segment that we'll be talking about is the precautions. The common lab precautions that we take during the chemical reactions, maybe in the activity of burning of magnesium ribbon or maybe during esterification. What precautions do we take? But then out of these two, the first part of this page, the observation based reactions and the questions are most important, and often they are the ones asked. What do you observe when sodium is added to ethanol or when so and so reactants are added to each other? So we are going to spend more time on segment 1. Without any more delay, jumping into first one, the observation based reactions. Well, as the name suggests, you will be talking about observations of the particular chemical reactions that have been described in the given question. But please do remember a few points when you deal with this kind of reactions. What is meant by this observation? Observation is what you see or what do you watch. If the given chemical reaction is happening right in front of your eyes in the laboratory, what would you observe? That is what is the fitting answer to this question. Usually, students will make a common mistake. It's a general mistake by just writing the product for this kind of reactions. Okay, stay there. I know you're confused, and to make your confusion clear, let me take an example. Example question, in fact. So here is a question which would be helpful for you. The question says, when zinc granules are added to a sample of dilute H2SO4, there is a chemical reaction that have happened. Whatever the products are, what would you observe during this chemical reaction? So this is a practical based question because they are asking you about observation. So now you think about the answer. If you were there, what would you answer? Would you have answered as ZnSO4 is formed, or would you have said that hydrogen gas is released? That's it. One among these two would be your answer, right? But then in fact, that will not stand as the fitting answer for the practical based question. That's what we are going to talk about in detail in this video. So when you deal with these observation based reactions, there are a few points that you should keep in mind and you should follow to give the answers. Remember that observation is what you see. And in this particular reaction is, if in case you are talking about formation of ZnSO4 and H2, assume this reaction is happening in front of you. Can you locate each and every molecule of ZnSO4? Is it even possible? In fact, not. We can't see the molecules, right? Otherwise, can you see H2 molecules getting liberated? No. Then what do you exactly see? If you talk on the practical perspective, you just get to see the bubbles of a colorless gas being evolved out of the reaction mixture. That's what you see, isn't it? How do you know that it is hydrogen? You don't know. So your answer should not be like H2 released or ZnSO4 formed. No, how is that observation? Are you getting my point? I hope you are, but in case you have any confusion, please go back and replay the video. Your observation is always what you genuinely, truly see when you are looking at the reaction happening in front of your eyes. Then how to write observations? I am going to give you the list of all observations in the series of these videos. So now, for hydrogen, let me explain. If this reaction is happening in front of you, as just stated, you will get to see the bubbles of a colorless gas being evolved. That is your first observation. And then how do you know which gas is it? There are so many colorless gases. For that, you have to test the gas, right? You have to do an identification test. Then what is that identification test? For hydrogen, the pop sound experiment, when you introduce a burning matchstick close to the mouth of container having hydrogen, the fire of the matchstick is extinguished with the help of a pop sound, right? So, what is the fitting answer for this question that I have asked? Your observation for this reaction should be, the bubbles of a colorless gas have been evolved when the gas have been tested with the burning matchstick, the fire extinguished with a pop sound, which confirms that the released gas is hydrogen. This is how the practical based questions should be answered. I repeat whatever we have done so far. We are talking about practical based questions and we are going to cover the concepts first. And these are the two major types of questions asked usually. So in observation based questions, how to give the answers is what we are dealing with right now. So here is one example and I explain you about only hydrogen gas right now. But now we are going to talk about all the gases that fall into your syllabus and most of the precipitates, the colors of the solutions and everything. But before going there also, just make a list of things which could fall into your observation. When you have to give the answer related to observation, your answer should include one or two among these points only. So you should either talk about the color of gas, because color is something that you can see, isn't it? Otherwise, you may talk about the smell of the gas, because smell is also observed, isn't it? Observations are the ones which do happen through your physical senses, right? Otherwise, taste is not included because according to lab precautions, you should not taste any chemical at any cost. So taste is avoided. Followed by, this is one. If not this, what else could be your observation? Your observation might talk about the color change of solution. If you remember the single displacement reactions, in single displacement we talk a lot about color changes of the solutions, blue to green, red to blue, etc., etc. So it could be that. Otherwise, it could be about again the color of a precipitate if any formed or a residue if any formed. Otherwise, it also could be about the change in physical state of your reactant mixture. Maybe it was a liquid and now it turned into solid, and if there is any color, you got to specify that as well, right? These are the points that you should be having in your observation based questions. Done? So as said before, I gave you how to write observation for hydrogen gas evolution, and now we'll talk about how to write observation for various other gases. But then not in this video. We'll watch it in part 2 of this practical based question series. So it's already uploaded. Please make sure you watch it and learn it. I'll see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.